Question for Rob. I'm interested in building a fully self-sustaining community, a few families and individuals. I'm mostly interested in passive house building for energy efficiency, food growing, solar panels, water generators, rainwater harvest. I'm located on the West Coast, lots of rain here. I've never done that though, and I have zero experience with anything except gardening, which I've done for 1 year. I would want to avoid pitfalls and stupid mistakes as any beginner does face in any field. Can you advise where and how I should start learning about that good and straight to the point resources? And if you were in my place, how would you build it? What would be the priorities, and what is the most important in choosing the right land for my endeavor? P.S. Sorry if the question is a bit broad and big. If you can direct me to good resources, that would help me. That would be fantastic. Thanks, and have a good one.
Man, oh man.
Big one. Yeah, no, it's just like so open-ended. Where do you go? Where do you start?
Yeah. I mean, this is what Dakota and I do for a living. This is what we help people with. And the broadness of that question speaks to the overwhelm that a lot of people feel when they start trying to figure these things out. Because I mean, back when you and I were young bucks getting started in all of this stuff, there wasn't a lot of information out there. We kind of had to sort it out on our own. And you drove down the West Coast, and and I went around the world, and I think you went around the world too. And now we have the exact opposite problem. There's too much information.
Exactly.
And most of it's garbage.
Yeah.
And so you end up, staying up till midnight watching YouTube videos, not really knowing what's real and what's not real anymore.
Yeah.
And so as a result of all the consulting that Dakota and I have done, and kind of coming face to face with the overwhelm that our clients feel, and even our students for that matter, when they come start taking our programs, we actually wrote a book on this. And so 90% of the solution to the questions that you need to find out are in the first 2 steps of our 5-step process. So the first is kind of clarifying your values and vision. It sounds like you've kind of done some of that already. You know what you want and what your vision is. You've got this idea of a low energy community that's self-sufficient, that is able to collect a lot of its own resources: water, energy, food, shelter. So that's your vision. And you probably need to do a little bit more work, although maybe you've already done this as well, as kind of identifying your resources. So what do you have? And it's not just financial resources, but all the forms of capital that are going to play an important role in the development of this project. And then you got to spend time actually in diagnosis. And so if you haven't bought a property, diagnosis is going to be, once you're clear on what you want and what's important to you, then it's going to be based on the number of properties that you go look at. And it literally took us, my wife and I, close to 10 years to kind of get really clear on what we wanted and to look at enough properties to be able to identify what it was that we wanted. And so the 5 steps that I'm referring to here is clarify your values and vision, diagnose properties for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so when you're looking at properties, you're going to be able to, if you're clear on what you want, you're going to be able to diagnose those properties for specific attributes. And we can talk about a couple of the things that are important to me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be important to you. Once you've got the property, then you design the property of your dreams. And so that's going to be the intersection between what the property wants to be and what you want the property to be. So we think about design as kind of a Venn diagram. Then you go and implement it. And this is when the next kind of big overwhelm occurs with most people is they've got this big drawing, this big design. Like, what do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? And so you need a way of making concise decisions that allow you to preferentiate your weakest link. So is your weakest link a lack of shelter? Is it not growing enough food? Like, we've got to come up with a system of establishing what your first, second, third priority is, et cetera, et cetera. And then lastly, after you've gone and implemented it, it's not over. You go back to the start again and you iterate. So we call this monitor and manage. So just really quickly, clarify your values and vision, diagnose your strengths, your property for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, design the property of your dreams, implement, and then monitor and manage. Now, as far as like resources that you can go and use. So our book is coming out in the spring, so you can keep an eye out for that. And both Dakota and I have YouTube channels on this sort of stuff. Another book that I'd recommend for house design is anything by Chris Magwood. He has a book as part of the Essential Building series at New Society Publishers called Sustainable Home Design. And it'll actually take you through step by step the kind of decisions that you need to make in order to design a bioregionally adapted low energy house for the West Coast. And so how I do that here is going to be different than how you do it there because of the kind of moisture and climatic variation that you have on the West Coast. So things to watch out for in your building. Don't fall into the pit traps of building the same house that every other progressive person does. So people generally fall into a couple of camps. They want to build an earthship or a straw bale house or I don't know, some other cob building, and like any of those might make sense for your climate, but they might also not make sense. You have to go back to base principles and make sure that you're making smart decisions about your bioregion. Part of that is going to be figuring out what kind of materials are readily available within your bioregion that you can get access to at a cost-effective rate. So anything from Chris Magwood. As far as property, I would say look at the kind of macro situation that we find ourselves in the world right now and identify the liabilities that you are most concerned about. And then make sure that your property has those in spades. So for me, out in Alberta here, I wanted a property that had access to water. Because we get to minus 40 Celsius here, and for the Americans watching, that's Celsius and Fahrenheit become friends at minus 40, so it gets really freaking cold here. For me, I wanted to make sure I had a surplus amount of fuel that I could keep my house warm in the wintertime. So water, fuel, and I wanted to have enough of a land base, enough biomass growing on my land so that we could be able to deploy a biodiverse herd or flock of species out there to go. And I mean, this is the best part about animals is they go out and they collect nutrition for you on their own accord, and then they bring it back to you. Like they are doing free work for you basically. So I wanted to have enough biomass on my property that I could grow really nutrient dense gardens and that I could grow as much food or protein, fat as I could possibly require for my family and potentially surplus for others as well.